Welcome everyone to Awesome Truth, a wrestling book club. I'm your host, Steve Semino, and with me as always is my co-host, Walt Schwenk. Hey, Walters.
Hello, Steven. How's it going?
My friend, it is going very well. We are back. Literally, we are back for reals on Awesome Truth. We took an episode off, Walt. We were busy with work, with raising a child, with all sorts of stuff, but we have returned to do one of our world-famous watch-alongs.
Yep. Let's do the lowest hanging fruit for the sake of...
Lowest hanging fruit. Let's rerun a Marine 6 episode, and then let's do a watch-along.
Yeah.
We're still creating...
busy summer,
we're
guys.
creating content for the fans, though. Ultimately, that's what matters, right?
And well, I would say timely, but it's timely in a sense that it's time to things happening in the real wrestling world, latter day.
Yeah, the watch along we're doing is our August episode, and it's August match. It's one of the most famous August matches. It's one we've talked about on this show, Walt, on talking about British Bulldog and talking about Bret Hart. It's Bulldog Bret from '92 SummerSlam. It's one of the most famous matches of all time.
Yeah, and plus it's a mix of SummerSlam. It's Wembley Stadium, so it's the All-In.
Yes, of course, Wembley. Yes, we're putting this out right before All-In, and so this was the previous biggest British card ever, and now another one is taking its place. But this was the centerpiece. That upcoming biggest card ever has no matches whatsoever of consequence. This one had the biggest British wrestler of all time, so it's a very weird dichotomy there.
The British Hulk Hogan, I believe, as written in the British Bulldog biography.
That's right. And this is his best match by far, as discussed in the Hitman episode. This is Bret carried him by many accounts to this match. Davey forgot what was supposed to happen, I believe. Isn't that correct? He drew a blank once it started. So they say.
Well, he was. What is he? Either gassed or he's on meth or something. I can't.
Yeah, there was something going. Bret. The implication is he fucked up and Bret carried him, which was going to happen anyway, but it sounds like Bret literally carried him for a chunk of it. But that's how good Bret was and how unreliable Davey was. So
right.
But it's a great match, and I haven't seen it in a very long time. I remember watching this back in the day when DVD compilations came out and YouTube became a thing, and you could catch up on these, or maybe even a rental when I was a kid. I don't totally recall the first time, but I know it was, even when I was a teen, it was talked about as this is, in terms of crowd enthusiasm, in terms of general interest, in terms of sort of surprising main events that blew people away, this was always the top. So I remember it being on my radar at a very young age, this is one you got to see, you got to find at a certain point.
I mean, the fact that the IC title got the main event.
Yeah, in '92, that was not a thing Vince was doing back then.
Yeah,
it was Hogan or it was the belt, and usually it was Hogan and the belt. So but it's a good. Now they're more likely to do this, capitulating, recognizing a hometown crowd, giving the people what they want, especially if there's a big match with a returning hero, they usually do put them at the top of the card. But yeah, for '92, this was a big departure from the plan.
Yeah. Well, I mean. Well, we'll talk about
it. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Struck gold, but I mean, could you imagine in a world where Warrior and Macho Man main event in this card instead?
and how furious these people would all be. 80,000 people losing their minds at that dog shit. At old Macho Man and decrepit Warrior out there.
Singlet Warrior.
Yeah, Singlet Warrior. Post-roids Warrior, yeah, the worst Warrior there could be. And that's a competitive category. All right, let's get started here, everybody. So on Peacock, this is obviously SummerSlam 92, and the time code is pretty much 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 53 seconds. So if you go there, you should see a crowd shot, you should hear Howard Finkel, and that'll be our starting point. So are you ready, Walt?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. There we go. We're getting a nice crowd shot. You can hear the Fink. Wait, I might be. Do you see a marching band, or are you actually? Did I give the wrong time code? I might have given the wrong time code here. I'm looking at a band.
I don't see a marching band.
All right, well, we're keeping this in, and I'm gonna find the actual non-march. Okay. Wait, Roddy Piper's here. Oh no, I went with the wrong. All right.
What?
Roddy Piper's doing bagpipes with a marching band. And then there's Diana. I totally blew this. I thought it was after the promos. We're keeping all this in. I'm finding a new time code.
So when do I Should I pause?
You should go back to the beginning, and I'm going to find you the actual point here. I'm looking at Diana talk right now, so...
Okay.
Here we go. Now I'm at the point that I know where we're starting at. The updated time code. 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 28 seconds. So I'm going to give everyone a second to reset, pause your episode, find that updated time. You watch Roddy Piper if you want. Don't let me stop you. But this is when the match is actually about to begin. So
tell me when the Union Jack.
Yes. Here we go. We're starting at 2:13:28. 3, 2, 1, play. There it is. Now there's the Fink. There's the SummerSlam ring. There's the fans going wild. There's the Union Jack. Here we go. And even though Bulldog is the hometown hero, he comes out first, as he should, because he's not the champ. So, and there's a guy. Who is that holding his flag? That's a guy. Is that Lennox Lewis? It is Lennox Lewis.
It is Lennox Lewis.
Wow. World champion in his own right, Lennox Lewis, carrying Bulldog's flag. Davey looking very large.
Yeah, isn't Lennox Lewis also like 6'8" or something?
Yeah, Lennox Lewis is very big. They should keep him away from the wrestlers. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, he probably makes Davey look really tiny.
I forgot that this was dreadlock Davey. I should have known that, but that's a particularly outrageous look for this guy. What do you think? We've talked about Davey before, but what are your thoughts on Davey as we're getting started? Do you like Davey at all? Like, I know you don't think about him probably ever, nor should you, but when you do,
yeah, which is pretty much every 2 weeks when we talk about wrestling together.
There was a stretch where we did talk about Davey a lot, I guess. With Stephen Bell in our archives, great Davey conversations. Not belying those, but
and probably several watch-alongs at this point.
Yes, sure. We didn't talk about him in the Canadian. He might be one of the most irrelevant people in the Canadian Stampede match, though. Like, I'd rather talk about LOD than Davey, you know.
And Goldust and Jim Neidhardt in that match. So.
That's right.
Anyway, so to answer your question, I like Davey. I think he's good. He had some banger matches in the '90s. I will say, like, with Bret a lot.
Yeah.
With Shawn Michaels, I thought he had a really good, like, title chase for a while there in the summer of '96, right after the Iron Man.
There's Bret.
Yep.
Looking good.
And I believe you were quoted to say he's the hottest version of Bret.
I would say 92 Bret is a very attractive man. I think he ages pretty quickly. You know, he certainly was out I think, the implication if you just blindly follow wrestling is, Bret was like the more uptight, family man, but he was out there partying, as we know from his book. Like, he was getting stuff done. He wasn't at home, drinking his tea and going to bed. So I think Bret put some real miles on himself. Certainly throughout his career, but definitely, by the time we hit 96, 97, he's getting up there in every capacity. But I think this is obviously main event level Bret, and I just think like a very, very handsome, pretty, getting a little bigger because obviously I think he knew Vince wanted him to main event and be on the top of the card, so he's putting some pounds on. I just think he's looking real good here. Yeah,
I mean, and obviously in ring we're gonna see that no one can hold this guy's fucking jockstrap.
Yeah, he was just great. Like, and to be, like we were sort of saying about the way this card is set up and all that, to be a wrestler in the early 90s and to get over because you're a good worker is insane. Like, this was the definition of an era where no one cared about that whatsoever, Like, you're sort of transitioning to that point with, like you said, Shawn Michaels, where work rate starts to matter. But Bret was definitely the first guy, I would say, where the fans started liking him because they were like, man, this guy looks cool, but also puts on a hell of a match every time.
Did you get the bell ring just now?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure we're actually synced.
Yep. Were we not synced before?
I don't know. I was a little confused.
Okay.
I thought we were good.
Actually, maybe I didn't get the bell. Brett's giving his glasses right now. So am I behind?
Yeah, same. Okay. Yeah,
okay, good. I thought the bell. Yeah, I thought I heard the bell ring. Okay.
All right.
Look at that little boy. Is that a plant, little boy? Who's that?
Might be his. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Hard to say. I always really wanted to. I mean, not that every wrestling fan wanted this, but I mean, getting Bret's. I had a pair of Bret glasses when I was a kid, and to be that kid is just the 10-year-old me's dream.
Pretty sure I have a pair of those glasses in my like costume drawer.
Which they're still probably making a few bucks off of, or at least did for a little while there.
That was like the pre-John Cena throwing his like hat and stuff into the crowd. Like,
yeah,
that
the
was,
Bret glasses, absolutely.
Like what a great marketing and merchandise to like.
There is the occasional time where you have to tip your cap to Vince and be like, okay, some of these shirts are terrible, some of this merchandise is garbage, but like something like the Bret sunglasses is like, that's just a win across the board. Like it's $20 and it's worth every penny. The kids love it. It makes money. Like you can't argue with that one.
Yeah, and British Bulldog didn't have anything like that.
It did not have. I can't think of a single. I'm sure they had Davey merch, but God only knows. Oh, it's one of those rings with the little gap between the guardrail and the what's it called?
Elevated ring.
Mat. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a broken ankle.
Yeah, that looks terrible. Oh, I mean, I can't imagine they go to the outside too much, but I would hate that. Any sort of deviation from the usual as a wrestler, it feels like a death. Like, as Davey found out in years to come, don't change the ring in any way, because it will possibly be a nightmare.
It probably makes all the seats a little bit more, like, a little bit better, right? I mean, because like row 10 through 30 actually have the best view straight on.
Yeah.
And like the people in the front row are still in the front row.
Yeah,
so it's like,
that's probably true. Because who cares about the front row people? Like they're getting the experience no matter what.
That being said, no suicide dives because there's no guardrail to break.
No, I don't think they're going to do one, but I really hope they don't try.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, if you don't know this match as a listener, that would be incredibly surprising to us, but it's extremely famous. Like we said, it's talked about in every, book about 90s wrestling, and certainly every Bret book and every Bulldog book. Like we've talked about many times on the show. It's a real work rate classic. Like it's a 30-minute match in an era where they were not doing 30-minute matches, and it's Bret, maybe the best worker of all time, and Davey, as you said, somebody who could be risen to similar heights when paired with someone who was really, really good at what they did.
You see, Davey's starting to breathe a little hard.
Yeah, which is not great because they've done absolutely nothing. They did one little catch flippy thing, and that was into a schoolboy, and that was really all they've done of consequence.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Let's do some rest holds.
Yeah, we're already doing rest holds. That's probably not a good thing.
Bret probably getting real pissed off by now, because Bret, I'm sure, could do 60 here, and Davey can do 5, so not great.
Yeah. We got Vince in commentary.
Vince and who's that? Is it with Heenan? It looks like Heenan, right? I see a guy in a red jacket, and that screams, I don't know whether commentator that could be. I swear I saw Heenan on my fast forwarding, too.
Yeah, it's Heenan.
Vince and Heenan was a good pair. I mean, obviously, Heenan had way better partners, and it's really just Bobby and anybody was a good pair,
Right.
Bobby and Gorilla. Well, I guess Jesse and Gorilla, too. So, I mean, that's but Vince is just the guy going, what a maneuver. Which he probably says 500 times in this match, I would imagine. Because I don't think they're doing crazy moves at this point, but I'm sure he doesn't know the names of any of them anyway. So,
slingshot.
It's a pretty good move. So let's talk about SummerSlam 92, Walt. This is a fascinating card. I really enjoy, because like I said, when we go to these matches, we fast forward through everything about them, but I always see something. I'm like, oh man, I'm very curious. Crush Repo Man, what happened in that Crush Repo Man match? I was so mad we missed that. The Beverly Brothers versus the Natural Disasters for the tag belts. They gave them 10 minutes. That sounds horrific.
Oh boy, Beverly Brothers.
And then Michaels is in a double count out with Martel, which is sort of a shame because I don't think Martel is that great, but they could have done 15 minutes there and had probably a decent little match. Martel's probably getting a little old, but a Boston Crab in there, something fun.
I feel like Michaels, his early 90s singles run, I don't think he won a single match
Yeah,
like, by pinfall. Like, I think it was like between Martel to Taka. Like, he just like kept winning count out or losing in count out matches. I'm like, doesn't really help anybody if you're like IC champion and just like can't win a fucking match.
That's, I mean, in theory, that was because he was a little pissy baby heel, though, right? And he would always take a powder and, take his...
Couldn't you have him cheat and win? Like,
yeah.
Wouldn't that be that? He just straight loses.
What was his finisher in the early 90s? It was like the worst finisher in the world.
Baby.
What was it?
Side suplex.
Side suplex. I mean, there's probably your answer right there, right? Why would Vince didn't want a match to end with a side suplex, and nor should he.
Yeah, God, getting that kick was the best thing that ever happened to that guy.
I remember playing I probably said this before on the show, but there was a wrestling video game in the 90s, and it's before he had Sweet Chin Music, and I remember his finishing move was the side suplex, and me being very disappointed, because at the point I played it, I think he was already Michaels as we knew him, and I was like, oh, I want to play this old game, and it's just very disappointing that that's his finishing move.
Right. I was always so confused, because I knew him with the...
Yeah, the kick was just so... prevalent,
right?
And even then, like, he did the elbow, he did all these other moves that were far more interesting. The side suplex was, I think, basically out of his repertoire by that point, or just never ever focused on.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen him do it before, so I truly don't know.
So we also have on this card, we got Warrior Macho Man, which also ends by count out, and they give them 28 minutes. Is that a mistype? Is that true? Warrior and Macho got 28 minutes? Jesus.
I sure hope not.
Good Lord. And then there was a Undertaker Kamala match, which ended was 3 minutes long and ended in DQ. So there were a lot of fuck finishes on this card that probably must have annoyed somebody along the way.
Yeah, why would you have the biggest card of the summer, possibly the year, and then do a bunch of DQs?
Yeah.
Like, what is that really advanced?
The three mains, as listed on Wikipedia, are Warrior Macho Man, Taker Kamala, and Bulldog Bret. And two of those end in count out and DQ. For no reason. When one of them's a title match, I guess, you don't want Macho to lose the belt. But then why are you giving them 28 minutes? Like, a 28-minute match that ends in a count out is about the crappiest thing I could ever imagine.
Yeah, right. Also, it was the Ultimate Warrior, too, in a 28-minute match.
Yeah, as known as Singlet Warrior, so...
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, this is a very weird period, because there's all these 80s guys. DiBiase's on the card, Tito Santana's on the card, Martel's on the card, Macho and Warrior. Like, there's just a lot of guys that are very, very old. But then there's Bulldog and Bret, who are breaking out. There's Crush is on the card, as we all know. He would at least stay around for a while. There's some stuff, Papa Shango. There's the occasional guy, the Nasty Boys. Like, there's a couple guys who are going to have 90s runs. And then there's plenty of 80s guys that are, I think definitely reaching their expiration date. And so it's interesting. I know Hogan, obviously. So it's certainly a time of transition. But I would say this pay-per-view is well regarded only for this match. Like, it's a one-match card, even though it is also a long-ass card otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty indicative for the night, like this era too, because I mean, like, WrestleMania 8 was kind of very similar in that it was one match and then the rest was just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, that's true. Which is yeah, like you said, it's not like this is there are plenty of examples like that, but there's also the occasional, if you go look in the 80s, occasional, like, a glaring example is, Macho Man Steamboat. Like, there's occasionally there's a banger or two, or at least a fun, weird match on a lot of those cards where you look, oh, that's neat. And then the filler just sort of takes over at a certain point, and the filler becomes the plan all along, It becomes who gives a shit. Oh, running Bulldog on Bulldog.
Well,
wow.
I am a couple seconds behind.
Oh, well. Sorry for spoiling the Bulldog. You couldn't tell it was coming.
I figured it was coming at some point because WrestleMania the arcade game, Bret does do a Bulldog.
Yeah, it's a famous Bret move.
Yeah. Top rope.
Yep. What's he gonna do? What are Davey's top rope moves?
God, is that a Vuvuzela that I keep hearing in the crowd?
It might be. My volume is very low.
Okay. Well, he just had that crazy, like, like,
or is it an air horn? Like one of those, like,
oh, maybe you're right.
just a Bio 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 air horn?
Maybe.
We'll see. I got the sound up now, so. Also,
Like anything like that makes a crowd like this sounds 10 times more lively.
yeah. Also, Davey paid the price, obviously, for going on the top rope, given that Davey, again, has no top rope moves. He did one of those, like, jumping knees to nowhere that did not work out for him.
It looked like it was a flying headbutt.
Was it a headbutt? But he landed. He did not land very gracefully.
Because he wasn't going to, he's not an idiot like other people who do the flying headbutt just eats it.
he knew not to land, to have his head take the fall.
He was smart enough to evade permanent brain damage.
Yes. In this instance, at least.
Bret's getting booed.
Yep. This is let's talk about the attendance too. This is listed at on Wikipedia 80,000. Is that right? 80,000 parentheses disputed. So a Vince 80,000. I mean, I think let's see what the footnote is there. Oh, it's Meltzer. So what is Okay, so Meltzer says this is actually a very helpful little note. Oh, this is the most. They shouldn't even have this on the list.
Did you see that plancha?
Yeah, that's crazy. Just after we said they weren't going to go to the outside.
Bulldog definitely not catching him.
So this is listed as a disputed number. Obviously, the most famous disputed number is WrestleMania 3, which is 15,000 people off. That 93,000 has been long recognized as bullshit. This was announced by them at 80,000, a little over 80. Meltzer's actual number is 78,927. So it is 1,000 people off. Yeah. I don't think we really need to split hairs a ton there.
No. Well,
I know 80 sounds rounder, and so I get why Vince would want that bigger number. But if he's only lying by 1,000, that's of all the crimes Vince has committed, real and philosophical, this is the least of them.
Yeah, I mean, that number is going to be very important in the next few weeks.
That's
when we
true.
Get the attendance of All In.
We'll see if we'll see if Tony juices his number. We'll see what Dave brings back then. But I believe last time I think they have a legit 80 at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, good for everybody. I'm glad they're going to the show. Like, it's cool that this is drawing so well. But like, why? I truly don't understand.
I don't know if the hell's even wrestling.
Yeah, the card is I believe like bare minimum. I'm actually gonna pull it up. Like you said, we're talking about Wembley. Like, let's talk about All In and see what is announced at this moment on August 14th as we're recording this. Yeah. There are 5 matches. There's the Bucks and there's FTR. That'll probably be 5-star classic. I'm very excited to watch that. MJF and Adam Cole are doing double duty. Were you aware of this?
Oh, for the ROH titles and the singles?
Yeah, they're on the pre-show and in the main. So, I mean, that's a fun conceit. Like, that'll be a whole show-long storyline that we'll probably all enjoy. There's a 4-way women's match for the belt, which is, it'll be good. It's got Toni Storm and Paige, of course. Soraya's in it. So there's your Bulldog-esque returning British star. And then there's...
I was going to say, is there any British... wrestlers off the show?
Ospreay, I think everyone assumes Ospreay will be added,
right?
Ospreay. Ospreay, but I mean, he's not on it yet. So if we're talking about 80,000 people, a lot of people are buying tickets for this on the idea. They're like, oh, Will Ospreay will be there. It's like, yeah, I mean, Will Ospreay's probably around a pretty decent amount. I think he wrestles in England a lot. So I don't think it's not like he's Davey working in the States for a decade,
Sure, but, this is the biggest stage this guy will ever have.
That's true, yes. I do, speaking about this 92 match, I do get why, or like Ospreay, I get why it's a big deal to have these guys on and girls on these cards. So right. I'm sure they knew in their head that they'd get Saraya, they'd get Ospreay. I mean, I guess Aussie Open is from Australia, so they're part of the British Commonwealth, but not England.
Sure. Asterisks.
Yeah, asterisk.
Yeah, I'm sure they're still going to be the favorite.
Oh, yeah, and Sting's on the card. Sting and Darby are on the card, too. So.
Oh, are they? Okay.
They're facing Swerve and AR Fox.
Oh.
Who is a guy I'm vaguely aware of exists.
Oh, boy.
He's Swerve's friend. So, like, it's Swerve and Swerve's friend. So, again, very wild that that's going to break. But I guess if you look at the SummerSlam 92 card, like, it's not like either of these cards is particularly good. So, and the working will certainly be better at All In. So, they'll be putting on a show.
Yeah, Well, I mean, I look forward to cherry picking the matches.
Yes, I look forward to YouTubing or daily motioning them or whatever 2 days later if I hear
Sure.
they are good. As someone who paid $50 for Forbidden Door and doesn't really regret it, I don't think I'm going to. Now that I have a son and my free time is limited, I don't think I'm going to spend it on watching $50 wrestling pay-per-views.
I think the Baby Vince College Fund is going to be...
I will say, though, Baby Vince watched SummerSlam with me, and he was paying attention to a few of the matches. He watched LA Knight win the Battle Royal, so...
Wow, okay.
I kind of propped him up just like as like a joke to see if he would pay attention. I mean, it's just colors and sounds at this point. He's 3 weeks old. But he certainly was watching the TV for 10 minutes or so.
Well, you guys didn't just play episodes of All Through Truth and wrestling while he was in the womb, like I hear people parents do with like classical music.
It's like reading a book to a baby in the womb, like you were just playing the podcast. Is part of that you want him to recognize your voice when he meets you right away?
Oh, I don't know.
Just to jerk his head up, be like, oh, I've heard that voice before. That's Walt's voice.
Yeah. Hello?
That's my dad's podcast partner.
Hello, Steven. I'm sure if I said that, he would recognize it.
When you meet him, please say that, and we'll see if we can get a reaction from him.
Zombie. Anyway.
Did you watch SummerSlam 2023, Walt?
No, I missed it. I was watching a bunch of gamers play video games.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you were doing work stuff, of course.
15,000 people watch gamers play video games.
Honestly, it wasn't the best card, so you might have had the better experience.
I thought it sounded good when I was listening to like recaps and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the main was just the main was an example. Like they've been building towards one of these, like all these mains. I feel like are with Roman is as good as a lot of them have been story wise. I think they've been building towards one that is just bloated to the point of disinterest, and I think they finally got there.
Yeah.
They always go on a little too long. They play out the emotional beats a little too hard. Like the outcome is usually really fun, especially when you watch like in a hype package a week later, and you're like, oh man, that looks. They're doing the story. They're doing it well. They're going from A to B to C. It's great. But when you watch the actual match, you're like, this could have been resolved a little quicker.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, 34 minutes. Like that's a long time. Like Roman does not need to have. As much as I enjoy heel Roman, no one is asking him to go 34 minutes. Besides, I guess Vince McMahon and Triple H, they are letting him go 34 minutes.
With all the bells and whistles in a Roman match these days.
Yeah, the chairs and the interference, like every match has and like really when you take Sammy out of the equation, when you take KO out of the equation, when it just becomes Usos, Roman, and Solo, I'm just like, this is getting a little too compact. Like, I mean, I feel like we're going inward as opposed to building outward.
Yeah, I mean,
I get it.
Where the hell they go from here?
Yeah, and then also what's next? Like, do you just go back to Cody? Like, probably, but then what do you do for the 6-7 months in between?
War Games, like, thankfully, is kind of like you get to have a consequential ending there. And
yeah, I mean, you got to do you do Judgment Day Bloodline?
Judgment Day?
But do you just do stables versus stable? Like, I mean, what do you, didn't they do Bloodline versus, do you just do Bloodline versus faces again?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, the bloodline isn't big enough to...
Yeah. But do you do Jimmy, Solo, Roman, and like... I don't know. These are the questions they have to answer now.
Well, luckily we'll worry about that, and we'll talk about that during the Survivor Series.
That's right. We'll ignore whatever Survivor Series match. Whoa, Davey! Jesus Christ! That was so bad. That was not supposed to happen, right?
Probably not.
That could have been so bad. He looks so tired. Oh my God.
Yeah, they just did 3 consecutive sleeper hold spots. So
yeah, and then he botched the spot that came immediately after that.
So I don't know when to bring this up, but I guess now is a good time. This match has a true special place in, I don't say my heart, but shout out to friend of the show, Joe Blasi. I don't actually know if he listens to this podcast. I don't say that. It's a friend of a friend, and we were in a bachelor party last year, and we bonded over wrestling, but specifically this match, to the point where every time we were out in public, he would always recite the ending, which we'll talk about when we watch it live here, of Bret Hart being so torn and conflicted with the handshake and Bulldog begging him to do the handshake, and then eventually they do it. The Union Jack song blares, and everybody rejoices. We did that. We recited that no less than like 15 times.
Would you would be Bret and he would be Bulldog, and you would just do it like in public?
We would trade roles, but sometimes it was just without just unprompted. She would turn me around, like turn my shoulder around, and just like hold out his hand, like really animated, and I'd just be like, I would put my hand on my hip and just look around and be like just dejected, but also just like do I, don't I? And then it's.
I don't think you ever told me this. That's amazing.
So if he listens, I'll probably link it to.
Yeah, tell him to listen if he's not. That's wonderful. I don't know this man at all, but I like him already.
Yeah.
Anyone with that sort of memory of this, what is it, 30-year-old match, and not only the match, but the post-match little angle that comes with it is pretty great.
Then I'm like, do you have any other favorites? He's like, nope. I'm like, okay.
You cool. Only like SummerSlam 92. There we go.
All right.
Oh, wow. Also an era where I don't think people kicked out of finishers, so.
Wow, false finish in 1982.
Yeah, right? I imagine
deal.
that was very rare.
Yeah.
Like, no one kicked out of the leg drop. No one kicked out of Warrior's little combo. No one kicked out of Macho's elbow. Like, there's no way. That was... Because finishers back then, I feel like, were as much like a sign to the fans that you can cheer now, you know?
Sure.
Like, get hyped because the end's coming in 10 seconds.
They still are on Raw, maybe not so much on a live premium event.
Not on premium live events, yeah.
A premium live event, yes. Jeez.
That was cool. Oh, I love what a great German that was.
This match is going to be like over pretty soon, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
It's 7 minutes of just them going back, like with the handshake. Which is why the handshake was so memorable.
We're 30-ish minutes in, so yeah. And
this is a nice precursor to like Bret family dynamic drama.
Yeah.
They've really milked this for all it's worth, and it worked wonderfully. Where it's like, oh, maybe this Owen storyline has a chance. Except instead of Bruce, we're gonna do
as discussed on the Canadian Stampede episode and otherwise. That's a great point. It really like the fact that they involved Diana too. Like they played up the drama in all the right ways, and like you said, it really did set up like this is the Hart family lineage. And its tendrils and how they extend out. God, that looks bad too, Davey. Jesus. But Vince sort of recognized, I assume, like there's some money here, and it's smart for Bret too. Like Bret is not Hogan, he's not Warrior, like he's not this big outsized personality. So you got to find something else to hang your hat on, you know?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
He's not a cartoon character. So it's like shit. I guess we should do some real person stuff because he's a real person, and that's sort of all we kind of got.
Yeah, but meanwhile, like an hour earlier, there was some Papa Shango.
Yeah, there was some Papa Shango too.
Was there?
Yeah, Papa Shango was in a dark match with Tito Santana. They got 6 minutes.
I just read some Kamala bullshit.
There was some Kamala bullshit was even far worse, I'm sure. But there was plenty of bull. Is this a laying down for figure 4?
He's doing that with sharpshooter, baby.
Oh, he's a laying down. It's a laying down sharpshooter. Oh man, that's great. Does he do that a lot?
Never seen him do this before.
That's amazing. I forgot he did that. That's so cool. Wow, that's a great spot. I will say, you probably remember this more than I do because you have totally done more sharpshooters, but that really hurts to do a sharpshooter on like the person doing the sharpshooter.
Yes.
Like the way you need to squat like that is very painful.
Yeah,
to hold it for any chunk of time just does not feel good.
Where you lose your balance, just fall backwards and have the person's heels touch the back of their head.
Yeah, that's right. It's just not. It's so unnatural.
Oh my God, Diana with whatever the hell it is she's wearing. She looks like a Canadian like.
Oh, is this it? 1, 2, yeah. Great finish too, like so good.
Yeah.
After they both did their finishers, oh man.
Bret was the king of just finishes. Like he could just figure out how to finish a goddamn
really
match.
Great use of really great use of schoolboys and small packages and stuff too. You know.
Oh yeah.
Like that felt like a genuine. So rarely do those feel like they should end the match. That felt like it 100% should end the match. Like Davey putting all his weight on him like that. Like of course he would get him for 3.
Like it's just like
The way he locks it in and falls, like, oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, he caught him.
Yep. Yeah, it's fine.
Like
That's how it works.
Match.
That's how it should work. It shouldn't just be. The worst is when someone just grabs your leg and your tights and like is sort of hooked their arm. Like, why would that get a 3? You know?
Right.
But a guy putting all his leverage on you, yeah, that's the end of the match. Yeah, she does look insane. Just like Woody.
Yeah, there it is. Canadian cowboy, man.
Yeah, Woody from Toy Story, to be fair, not Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I figured you were talking about the cowboy.
There he is, new IC champ. Is this his first singles title? Probably is, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Because Bret's first singles title was probably this IC title as well.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he won it, and then he lost it to the Model T. And then
oh, that's right. Yes. And then he wins the world title in like a month or 2?
Yeah, shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
In the middle of a house show.
Yeah, against the departing Ric Flair, right?
Yep.
Yeah, wild. Still weird they did it that way. That was very strange.
Saskatoon or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, here we go. This is it. Your famous handshake moment.
Yeah. Will he accept the handshake?
Very, it is very Healy Bret, too. Because, I know Bret's a competitor, and I'm sure that's what Vince is playing up right now. Like, he's just frustrated. You know, he wanted the W. But Davey didn't cheat.
No.
Davey beat him fair and square. They had an extremely clean match. Oh, Diana pulling the tears. Davey's so tired.
Also, like for them not to play the entrance music yet.
Yeah.
And wait on it. It's pretty great.
The crowd just loves it. So when you guys did this at the bar, would you walk around like Bret when you were him and just kick dirt and just look in the distance?
and then we would do the handshake and then just start singing the Jimmy Jack.
And obviously the dream is if someone could have gone to the jukebox and put on the song.
I think we achieved our dream, which was to do that 1,000 times to the dismay of everybody around us.
It is also, we didn't even talk about that. It's pretty great that's Davey's theme song too.
Like,
it's just so loud and obnoxious. It's just like they just didn't try at all. They're like, yeah, that's what it is, done.
Yeah.
It's the British song. We're done. Oh, we're done. It's easy as can be.
Right, yeah. It's like if Bret's song was Canada theme.
Yes, it is. It's like if it was O Canada, right?
Yeah, except that his actual theme is much better.
Yes, and O Canada also is really boring, whereas this song is very exciting. So.
Wow, man.
Well, I will say that is not. It's a fine match. If it happened now, I would say it's very. Davey botches a couple things, but it's very. No, they don't do anything crazy. Like it's very efficient and reasonable, and like they don't overstep their bounds. They don't try and get Davey to do too much. Like it's very good for what it is. And obviously, back in 30 years ago, it probably was mind blowing.
Oh, but now with the pyro to end it.
Oh man, that's great.
It's a nice visual.
So what do you think? Is worthy of the hype?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, even as I sat through it again, I remember the parts that were good.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna ignore the 20 rust holds, but
it's the 80,000, and this is totally fair, I think, for wrestling. It's the 80,000 people. It's the familial connection. It's the post match stuff. Like it's all those things, you know.
Could you imagine a world where Bret Hart wins this match?
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah,
just to piss everyone off. But it's like we said in this Canadian Stampede match. Like it's okay. I don't want to watch Yokozuna at SummerSlam '93. But it's like we said in the Canadian Stampede. Like it's okay to say a match is really only good in the context of where it is and when it happens and all that. Like that's how things work. Like that's how watching a movie works. Watching it that's how context is important for your enjoyment of things as you consume them.
Yeah.
If you have a baby, if baby Vince is screaming next to me while I'm watching a movie, I'm probably gonna have a worse time than if I just watched it in a nice, quiet movie theater with fully engrossed. Like it just, I think it's okay to factor that in to a certain extent of like where you're watching something, where it's happening, why it's happening. I think that all is important, is relevant. Yeah,
definitely time and a place, and they struck gold, and it just so happens that we have this like super famous British wrestler and. In this super important event at this super big stadium in England. So.
Yep, that's right. and it happened, and we watched it, which is great. So
Can't even produce that. You can't even produce that situation.
no, yeah, you can't. It's just like Sammy and Roman in Elimination Chamber earlier this year. Like different ending, but just so they didn't book that pay-per-view going, ooh, I can't wait till Sammy gets the main event. It's just that it came together, and they were like, yeah, let's do it, and then Sammy didn't win, but in theory, it still was fun to have it happen.
Yeah.
And that was fun to watch as well. That's our August watch along, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again on Awesome Truth. If you want more episodes, including other previous watch alongs, you can find our archives at awesometruth.libsyn.com. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or really anywhere podcasts are delivered. We are there. And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Awesome Truth Pod. Well, great to be back. Great to watch some wrestling with you. I'm going to go sleep and or take care of a baby. But luckily, as you noted previously, as we were texting, deciding what to do next, with the little break we took, there is weirdly a ton of wrestling content out there right now for us to watch. So we are going to have tons to do in the next couple episodes. So that'll be fun.
Okay. Get ready for non-watch along content.
Get ready for Heels is back.
Oh, boy.
Are you all watching Heels? I sure hope you are.
Let me fire up my Stars on.
I actually have a Stars app if you want me to give it to you, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's my brother's, but you can have it.
Let's talk about this offline.
Yeah, let's not get you paying for Stars to watch Heels. So.
Oh, thank God.
Thank you all so much for listening, and remember, the truth will set you free.